Welcome. Thank you for being here. If you wouldn't mind giving us a like, and consider going ahead and subscribing as well, that would be fantastic. And if you really want to go the extra mile, go down to the description below and click the Patreon link. Lots of cool stuff going on there. As always, I love you, and enjoy the show, guys.
The DeathWorlders, a story by user Hambone. Chapter 22, Warhorse, the 5th year. Part 2. Date point, Christmas Day, 9 years, 11 months, and 3 weeks after Vancouver. Folktha, Cimbrian, the far reaches. Ava Rios. So, here it is. Merry Christmas! There were a couple of options here. Either Adam had gone completely nuts, or there was something special about the building that he was standing in front of and beaming about. Either way, it wasn't immediately apparent what the big surprise he'd been talking about all day might be. She examined it as his proud smile wilted slightly. It was a 4-story new build, clad in the distinctive local pale gray stone that Folktha's architectural planning board had settled on to play an important role in their vision for the city's aesthetic. The whole of Folktha was going to look clean and shiny, and mercifully characterful, with its organic nest of curves rather than straight, bland lines. This one was on Demeter Road, which hadn't even existed when the pair of them had left Cimbrian. Now it was one of the town's major thoroughfares, leading in one direction toward Delaney Row and Palace Hill, and in the other direction towards an outlying agricultural town called Demeter, which in turn had road connections on to Big Bay and New Bristol. The ground floor was all windows and plainly unfurnished, but a sign was in place, the doghouse, and below that, in slightly smaller letters, strength, nutrition, and fitness.
A gym?
She asked. Yep, Titan's always wanted to have one, so I chipped in the money to buy the building alongside him.
You own a building?
Well, we both had that big homesteading grant to draw in, and, property prices are so cheap around here. Right now, we figured we'd probably be able to get something else each. 2, if we joined forces on this one. Adam shrugged. So he owns the gym and the basement, and I own the rest.
Holy shit, Adam!
She looked up and down the street, calculating.
You realize by the time you've paid the loan off, this thing will be worth, triple what you paid for it.
Yep, he beamed that big puppy smile. It's an investment.
So what's the rest?
Come and see. He led her around the side of the building to a well-lit parking area and a door with a number pad. Code's 3386, he said, entering it. The door buzzed and admitted them into a clean stairwell with a nice tiled floor, plus the fire exit from the gym and the door down to the basement. Ava shrugged and followed him as he bounded up the stairs to the top floor. Penthouse suite, he announced, unlocking it with a key.
Holy, Adam, this is gorgeous.
Ava stepped into it and looked around. The penthouse was a studio apartment, with the bedroom partitioned off from the open-plan kitchen and dining area by means of the bathroom. Adam must have accidentally intimidated the contractors or something, because the fittings and decor were amazing. White counters with dark wood surfaces, wood flooring, and warm, indirect lighting throughout. It was maybe missing a few personal touches like artwork and furniture, but other than that, what was more, it had stairs leading up to the roof which Adam rushed to unlock with a grin, beckoning her to follow. And the view from the roof, he said, gesturing out across it. It took Ava's breath away. She could see the palace and the still-lit smart fabric spike of the Thing Hall, currently pulsing through festive green, white, and red. The alien quarter, protected from harmful DeathWorlder diseases, pollens, and spores by a triple-layered dome of filtered force fields that glowed very faintly in the dark and dominated by the Gowan Enclave/monastery. She could see the New World Plaza where this year's Christmas tree was a beacon of warm light, and from which music could still be heard drifting over the streets and rooftops. You can see the lake from here too during the day, and good news. From what I heard, it's going to be getting a clean bill of health from the reclamation project pretty soon. Adam told her, then turned to her. What do you think?
I think, wow, you really got this right. You're going to have a tidy fortune in a few years. What are you going to do, rent this out, or?
The 2 apartments downstairs, yeah, Adam said. He took her hand and put something small, metallic, and jagged in it. The penthouse is yours. Ava was so surprised that she almost dropped the key.
Adam, you're kidding.
No, you need somewhere to live, right? So live here. If you want to pay rent on it, I can shove it in a savings account or something, whatever. He took her hand and gently towed her downstairs again. She was so stunned that she followed him automatically. Furniture's coming day after tomorrow, he said. Sorry, I'd hoped to have it all in, but the timing...
Don't apologize. Adam, are you sure?
Totally sure, he told her. And, I was thinking, I'm back here now, you're back here now, and I thought we could... He brought his hand down into view. It had a little black cube in it, which split down the middle. Make up for lost time? It was a beautiful ring. A delicate Mobius loop of white gold, spun back on itself so that it was almost 2 rings, joined by a pale blue diamond. It was exquisite, and she stared at it sadly. The moment attenuated until Adam finally inclined his head slightly and asked, in a vulnerable tone she hadn't heard since he'd asked her on their first date, Ava? She had to wind up into her question, her head moving in a slow, shaking movement, before she tore her gaze off the ring and looked at his face. This was all so amazing. The part of her was sorely tempted to just hold her hand out, say yes, and have done with it. But Sean had still been right.
What am I to you, Adam?
She asked. He frowned, lowering the box unconsciously. I don't, what do you mean?
What am I to you?
She repeated.
What do I mean to you?
Well, he began, then seemed to trip mid-thought. You're my...
I'm your what?
He shook his head again. No, you're you.
I'm your me?
No, you're you. She nodded fiercely.
And what am I?
He spread his hands helplessly. I don't know what you want from me, he confessed. She spelled it out for him.
Do you love me?
She could see his instinctive response coming and snapped up a hand to stop him.
I know you do,
she added.
But look, over the last 5 years, we've barely seen each other. And that barely was mostly getting together every few months to screw as much as possible between your training sessions. Can you stand there and honestly claim to love me, really love me, if that's all we've had for so long? Do you even know who I am anymore?
She waved her hand up and down him, gesturing to everything it had changed about him since they had been 17.
I mean, do I love you or a memory of you? You've changed a lot, and so have I. If we're going to work, if we're going to be together, then we both need to know that we love each other for who we are now.
His mouth closed, and very, very slowly he looked away. Ava deflated.
Then, Adam, corazón, I'm so sorry, but this is all amazing, but no, I can't marry you. Not yet, not until...
She trailed off, knowing that she had to leave that door open, but not knowing what more to say. Adam pocketed the ring. He coughed. I'll stay on the base tonight, I guess. She nodded and stepped aside. Adam squeezed past her and out the door. This place is still yours for as long as you want it, he told her. I'll see you around, I guess. Ava nodded.
Yeah, she croaked. See ya.
He turned away and creaked unsteadily down the stairs, so she shut the door and then leaned against it. That done, she let go and slid down to the floor in tears. He'd looked so broken. Gone! It's all gone! All of it's gone! Bye-bye! Woo! See ya! What happened to you? One minute you're defending the whole galaxy, and suddenly you find yourself sucking down Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her little sister. Movie night for the operators was frequently an exercise in cramming 10 men onto a single oversized 3-seat couch, custom built to SOR requirements by Rebar and crew. It was huge, strong, and comfy, with plenty of room for even their massive frames to sit and spread out, at least on a normal day. Movie night, on the other hand, taxed even its over-engineered limits when 10 spaceborne operators crammed onto it in a tangle of limbs, using each other as pillows, sitting on each other's laps, and thinking nothing of being so wrapped up in the puppy pile that it would once, in their younger civilian years, have made them deeply uncomfortable. Nowadays, it was fraternal and comforting. All of their training, the constant physical closeness, the team building, and the end result of all they had been through together meant they were entirely comfortable with almost too high a degree of physical intimacy. This created occasional problems. Whose legs are these? Yo, Titan, these yours? How the fuck are they mine? I'm all the way over here. Well, one of you assholes needs to move his feet. I gotta piss. A few of the guys wiggled their feet experimentally while a crazed astronaut ranted on the screen. You see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit! Oh shit, sorry bruv. Man, get off me! The knot untangled enough for Baseball to squeeze out from under it and roll over the back of the couch, and they collapsed back inwards as the guys found new, comfortable spots to fill the void. But the hat looked good. Tell me the hat looked good. The apron is a bit much, but man, even Toy Story isn't cheering him up. Adam sighed. Nah, it's helping, he promised. Pull the other one, pal, Legsy admonished him. Adam just snuggled into the couch a bit further and tried to watch. I just can't figure it out, he said. I was away from her for all those years as well, you know? It wasn't like being away from her for that long was easy for me, either. Akiyama spoke up. Women are high maintenance, man, he shared. Price snorted. Fuck off, you've got less experience with women than Warhorse does. Akiyama took the insult with a smile. You want to talk about getting laid, little man? Bryce shrugged. Okay, what do you want to know? There was a collective woo-ah and a round of high fives. Nah, boys, fucking... Legsy tried to chime in as it died down, but Adam plainly wasn't in the mood. He lifted half the guys off him at once, slithered out from under them, and stood up. I'll be in the gym, he announced. There was a long moment of silence after he'd gone. Nobody was paying attention to the movie anymore. He's real tore up, ain't he? They were together a long time, Legsy said. This shit's not helping. He doesn't need a puppy pile, he needs advice. You're the one to give it then, Legs, Price noted. Go big brother. Yeah, think you're right. Legsy waited until the movie was done before he intruded in the gym. Adam was casually swinging a bulky jerry can around, one-handed like a kettlebell, working up a good sheen of sweat. Going kinda light, aren't you? Legsy asked him. The gravity was set at 1G Earth standard, and if that can was full of water, then it was far below Adam's potential. You think so? Adam asked. There's a spare right there if you want to join in. Legsy shrugged. His own fitness regime focused on speed and explosive force as a rule, but this wasn't about him right now. He picked up the can. Or at least, he tried to. It wasn't full of water, that was for damn sure. He barely rocked it when he tried to grab it, and he didn't get it off the ground until he stood over it properly and treated it as a lift. Fucking Christ! He dropped it again. What's in that? Buckshot. Adam's trademark goofy grin put in a cameo appearance. A good deal more melancholy than usual, but at least it was, finally, a break in his bad mood. You little shit! There's no way you're swinging that around like that. Put it down, let me. Adam shrugged and did so. Legsy had been half right. The one he had been using was a bit lighter, but still far heavier than Legsy could have used for endurance training like that. 2/3 full, Adam revealed. In the meanwhile, he picked up the big can and was now slowly and deliberately performing stiff, one-armed shoulder raises. The motion was much like a kettlebell swing, but without the use of momentum to aid the lift, making it much more difficult. Legsy watched in silent admiration as, in the space of about a minute, he went from merely sweaty to dripping. He set the can down, huffing with a satisfied expression. I'm not heavy enough to swing the big one without the suit. Not yet, anyway. Hell, even in the tighter and heavier mid-suit Base and I switched to, and even with the added armor plating we wear now, And even with a full combat load, swinging it is tricky. The momentum just throws me around, man, which, hurts. Aye, said Legsy. Seems to drain you right quick, too. Uh-huh. Lifting really heavy makes me sweat so much I can get dehydrated in just a couple of minutes if I ain't careful. And that's only when I ain't wearing the suit, and only if I do something big like this. So without the suit, I work intervals and switch off between the 2 cans. You been at this since the movie? Yep, this is my 8th set. He picked up the lighter can and started swinging again. Slowly getting better. A few months ago, this would have practically killed me. Now it's just a good workout. Legsy said nothing for a long moment, then made a disbelieving little noise and shook his head. Fucking Christ, mate. Just how fucking strong are you? Adam shrugged, put down the can, then burrowed around in his open locker and produced a little hand-sized notepad. When Legsy flipped it open, what he found penciled in was a list of exercises and numbers. They were all crossed off. What's this? World records. Adam shrugged again. It's the crude, man. Thanks to that shit, I'm probably the strongest person in the galaxy. Yeah, maybe. Probably. I met that Saunders bloke we learned about Crozier from in the first place. He looked about as big as you, but taller. Longer bones, less mechanical advantage. Legsy mused, then handed back the notepad. And he didn't train like you neither, he added. Is this wise? Probably not, Adam conceded. But how long have we got until the resistance kicks in? I guess if Ava thinks I gave up on her for this, and maybe she's right. Maybe I did. He trailed off, then reset. I guess if she thinks that, then maybe that's all I have right now, is getting the best out of this stuff before I start to become immune. Fuck me, you're a stupid twat sometimes, pal. Legsy shook his head. Adam frowned at him. It hadn't been the typical laddish insult between brothers in arms, but it sounded like a genuine appraisal of his intelligence. What? If she thinks you gave up on her, then that means she wants you to start working on her again, doesn't it? Does it? Legsy sighed and laughed, shaking his head. Sit down, Adam, he said. Let me tell you the ways of the womenfolk. Adam frowned at him, but obeyed, perching atop the same can he'd just been training with. Legsy sat opposite him. So what exactly did she say to you? He asked. She asked me, what am I to you? What is she to me, Right. And then she told me to tell her honestly that I still love her after all those years going away and that kind of thing. Well, that isn't exactly fair of her, Legsy opined. But all right. What do you mean? Well, okay. Gut response here, one word, first one that springs to mind. Legsy suggested. Do you love her? Yes. Good. Right. But here's the next question. What is love? And none of that baby don't hurt me crap. Huh? That's maybe a bit before your time, Legsy allowed, but go on, try and answer it. Well, it's... Adam thought about it. Love, it's an emotion, right? Half right. You can feel love, and you can love, right? You can do love, not just feel it. A verb, Adam nodded. Fucking right. You've got love, Legsy clicked his fingers as he searched his memory. What's it? The noun. Yeah, so, yeah. You love her, but you don't love her, see? Noun versus verb love. You're saying she needs both? Adam asked him. Secret one about women, mate. A lot of the time the verb counts for more with them than the noun, like. And secret one about blokes. By and large, we're the other way round. Come on, Adam protested. They're more complicated than that. She's more complicated than that. Legsy shrugged. How do you know somebody loves you? He asked. Adam scratched above his ear. Well, I guess you... Legsy just raised an eyebrow at him, waiting. Adam deflated. I guess because they show it. They do stuff for you. Fucking right. And any woman, complicated or not, needs to know that you love her. Needs to have it shown. Because blokes, we're stupid buggers. We feel it and we'll just go ahead and fucking assume that they feel the same way and carry on. Women, though, they think about love. A lot. They, a lot of the time, they love you so much they worry that they're loving you more than you love them. See? They don't just assume it. Ava's not insecure, though. It's not insecure, mate. It's... Legsy's gaze flickered about the room and he spread his hands, marshalling his words. They don't want to get ripped off, right? That's actually smarter than how we do it. They want to know they're getting a good return on their emotional investment, Adam translated. Right? You got it? Adam sighed. Yeah, I got it. So? Adam frowned. So what? Legsy looked down and rubbed his forehead. How fucking dense are you? He asked. I've just told you that what she wants is to be shown that you love her. But she broke it off, Adam exclaimed. And she's right, we hardly know each other anymore. It's not going to be as simple as flowers and chocolate. So start over, Legsy suggested. Get to know her again. Let her get to know you again. Go on a new first date. If that relationship's over, then start a new one with her. You think we can do that? Adam, pal, I reckon that's what she wants more than anything, Legsy told him, gravely. He let Adam sit and think, until the younger man finally nodded. I'll give it a few days. I need to work up my courage and figure out what I'm going to say. Good idea. But if we get to Saturday and you've still not done it, I'm dragging you down there myself. Fair? Fair. Legsy stood up. I'll let you get on and think, then, he said. Thanks, Legsy. Legsy just clapped a hand on his shoulder and left him alone. Ava! Jess's expression fell on seeing her former student's downcast expression and smudged makeup.
Oh, honey, what's wrong? Or is this one for Gabe? This is...
Ava sighed, entering their apartment.
I don't know,
she said simply and shrugged.
Adam proposed.
He did? Gabe asked, emerging from the kitchen.
Yeah, didn't he tell you?
Madre de Dios mío, ese nieto de becas.
Gabe sighed.
No, Are you okay?
Just drained.
Ava sat down at the table.
I tried to leave the door open, but I don't think he really knows why I said no. Or if he got that I really do want to marry him.
Her hair bunched up as she planted her elbows on the table and raked her fingers across her scalp, then threw her hands down on the table.
5 years, you know?
Sounds like you both need some advice,
Gabe noted.
What's to advise? We need to start over. But if it's going to work, he needs to... God, this sounds selfish, but he needs to focus on me a bit, right? Is that selfish?
No, that's a marriage, Jess replied.
It feels selfish. I
What?
Can you promise me that this will never, ever get back to him? Ever?
Jess and Gabe exchanged glances, but nodded.
Ava
took a cleansing breath and looked up at them.
I cheated on him.
Gabe sat down, expression unreadable, and creating a vacuum that she just had to fill.
God.
Ava sat back and looked around the kitchen as she gathered her thoughts.
That sounds terrible.
She wiped her eyes.
I came this close to breaking up with him,
she said finally.
The only reason I didn't is because this friend of mine, he helped me to stay on top of it. He helped me feel...
She cleared her throat, leaned forward, and made eye contact again.
The one thing Adam told me time and again is that I'm what kept him going when things got tough, right? But he wasn't keeping me going, you know? All of that energy, all of that love, it was only going one way, and I guess I ran out. And I needed somebody else to send some of that energy to me for a while. That's half of it.
An uncomfortable half-minute ticked out on the wall clock, during which Jess surreptitiously blew her nose.
And the other half?
Gabriel prompted. Ava spoke to her own hands rather than look at him.
He's a special operator now, you know? I have to get used to the idea that maybe one day he'll go on a mission and only a flag will come back. That's how it has to be, you know? And what happens then? If my feelings are so tied up to him and that ever happened, I mean, if I'm not me first, if I'm all about him and he dies, then what does that leave me with?
Behind Gabe's back, Jess nodded. Gabe himself was just still, and a little old and damaged and attentive, leaving an intolerable void where his part of the conversation should have been.
This is all coming out wrong. I'm making it sound like Dad, I'm sorry.
Gabe just reached over the table and took her hand.
Don't
he said gently. Do you regret it?
No.
The answer seemed to be the opposite of what Gabriel had wanted and expected to hear. You don't?
I learned a lot about how to let go and how to...
She took a breath and started over.
I love Adam. Come on, how many guys are there in the world who'd go through what he has all so he can throw himself in harm's way to protect other people? He's my hero, and if there's such a thing as a soulmate, he's mine. I know it. But I had to learn that I can't afford to love him that much if I couldn't live without him. Does that make sense?
Gabe's ability to just listen kept pulling her forward.
And now I know I could. And knowing that I could keep going even if he died tomorrow, it kind of frees me to be able to love him as much as I want to. Please, does that make sense?
Gabe finally looked down and squeezed her hand gently. I guess it does, he said finally. I don't like to think about him getting... He trailed off, unable to finish the sentence.
I never thought about Mama and Papa or my school friends or whatever,
Ava replied.
I didn't like to think about death at all. But you have to, Dad. You have to think about death. They died when I accidentally poisoned myself that one time I thought I was going to die. I saw you nearly die when that guy shot you, Sarah, and now Adam's a soldier.
Jess shut her eyes and looked away, but Ava surged on.
You've got to think about it, and you've got to have a plan, because there's no if involved. There's when, isn't there? And I had to know I was strong enough to keep going without him. I had to know he wasn't everything. I don't think I'd dare to love him if he was everything.
There was an eternity where the only sound was the buzz of the lighting and fridge freezer, before Gabe finally deflated. Entiendo, he murmured.
I'm sorry, Dad.
I thought you said you don't regret it, Gabe asked. Ava stumbled.
Well, no, I don't,
she agreed. Then don't apologize, it's not... He sighed, then looked back at Jess, who gave him a weak smile and took his hand over his shoulder. It's not something I'd have done, and I don't know if I think it's ever justified, but we trust you, Ava. If you think you needed to do it... I wasn't there, I can't judge. Ava produced a weak smile of her own.
Thank you.
Her voice was full of relief and true gratitude. You need to work on your communication, though, Gabe continued. There's no way he'll figure it out himself. You should have spelled out the problem rather than just turning him down. Jess nodded.
Adam's a remarkable man, she said, addressing Ava. But you're the only girlfriend he's ever had. He won't know how to figure out what you're feeling, nor how to cope. I can't tell him what I did. It'd totally break him,
Ava protested. Jess is right, though, Gabe told her. Even if he never learns what you did, he still needs to be told that it's got to be a real relationship, not just two survivors putting each other on a pedestal and not really having a whole lot in common. Ava relaxed.
I knew you'd think of how to phrase it,
she said.
Well, you'll probably think of something better if you give it time to think,
Jess replied.
But just make sure you tell him sooner rather than later, okay? He's going to need to be told that you want to start over.
And tell him to come talk to us, Gabe added.
I can do that,
Ava promised.
I'll talk to him when I know what to say.
Probably sensible, Jess agreed.
Like you said, you never know what's going to happen.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one today. Thank you so much for being here. And tell me, what is your favorite zoo? I've been to many. I've been to the Denver Zoo. I've been to the Indianapolis Zoo. I've been to quite a few zoos in my life. And my favorite one, actually, is the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens. It's really well designed. And they do this thing in the winter called... it's basically lights. They do, like, Christmas lights in the whole place. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. If you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, and subscribing, maybe going to the Patreon link, I really appreciate it, guys. Anyway, I love you. Bye, y'all. This is for dogs. That's for Gregor.